Now, on the screen, you do find a few words, right? Now, these were the words that were actually quite familiar to the pictures and the activity that we did earlier. Now, I'm not showing you the entire picture right now for a purpose. Let me explain to you. Now, these are the few words that we got very familiar with from the previous activities. Now, words like beautiful, dangerous, amazing. What we can do to make these words very familiar to the participants or the candidates is we could do some nice choral repetition and pronunciation by drilling the words into the candidates. So probably all we can do is pronounce it nicely and tell them to repeat after us by breaking the syllables or trying to get the words familiar to them. So this kind of an activity can also be done as a pronunciation practice. So try to capture 5 or 6 words which are inside the activity and try to give them a pronunciation practice that can be done through choral repetition or pronunciation drill. And in that process, the students also get very familiar to the words and the way it is constructed with the syllables. Right. So moving on, I'm getting into the next activity. You do see a few pictures on the screen, right? Take a few seconds to just look at the pictures. Okay, now all I want you to do is make one sentence for each picture using the words on the top. Now you have 9 words there. All you have to do is structure a sentence per picture using the words from 1 to 9. I'd love to hear a lot of expressive sentences, so go ahead and put them up on the chat box. Okay, so looking human skull is scary. All right. It is hard. Okay, that's a beautiful sentence there. The man is climbing the mountain and it looks very dangerous. It is a scary course. Beautiful. So look at the sentences that are flowing in. Beautiful. Don't forget to read all the sentences. It is dangerous to climb the mountain. Anybody who would like to try the third picture? He began mountain climbing when he was young. Beautiful, Divya. Nice one. Now, that's another interesting fact here that you can be as expressive as possible. You can make it very imaginative, very creative. Thank you, Nisha. It is difficult to lift the weight. Agreed? It's difficult to do the weight lifting. I hope that's that, Pradipin. Weightlifting without practice is difficult. Beautiful. Lovely. Great going, guys. Beautiful. Nice set of sentences. Now tell me, what was the activity that you actually did? You had some pictures, you had some beautiful words, and what is the reflection of this activity? Because we just initially discussed about sentence structuring, right? Yes, absolutely. Picture description, no doubt. Usages of words and sentence structuring. I think now that is something that can be done in this picture comprehension. Sentence formations, absolutely lovely. Writing, yes, why not? You can be converted into a writing skill. You can make them write, check for their punctuations, check for their sentence structure, sentence making, using the words that are given to you and then putting them into sentences. That's a beautiful task to give. Mind map, usage of sentences, relating sentence structure. Beautiful. Don't you feel it is so nice? Do you think you can put this into the classroom? You can do this individually. You can even do group activities and you can give the papers to the other groups and ask them to relate to what they had written. Don't you think this would be beautiful? Arrangement of words in suitable order. Now that's a beautiful activity. I think I can also try to do that now, Raman. But thank you for saying that. That's very interesting. Do you think you can do this activity in the classroom? Do you think the children will have fun? So I think this is another activity which absolutely triggers your productive skills. You can work on speaking. You can speak about the picture by using the words at the same time. Yes, you can make them write down the sentences and do the writing skills as well. Thank you so much for accepting that, Barbara and Sarunan. I really hope it is nice when you try to implement these activities in your classroom. Right, great going, guys. I'm moving on to the next activity. The next activity is, of course, some more interesting words on the screen. Now, I'm just trying to hover over all these words again and again simply because sometimes words really work through repetition. All right. Now, on the left are those 8 beautiful words that we have been looking into quite often now. Now, the 8 words do have sounds that are same as the words in the box. Okay, let me say that again. We have 8 words on the left, and all these 8 words have words on the right in the box which have same sounds which are similar to each other. Can you try to find out what are the words that synchronize? Now, let me do the first one for you. Now, for example, if I take the first word, beautiful, beautiful. What word do you think it kind of has the same sound in the word on the box in the right? Absolutely, Barbara. Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes, I should say it that way. Beautiful rhymes with you or has the same sound as you. That's what I should say. It's got the same sound. Right. Now, can you try to do the rest of the words? Can you try to do the rest of the words? Thank you, Sarunan. Yes. Beautiful is you. Absolutely. Just take a second, just work on the words. We'll discuss it all together. All right, moving on to the second one. Dangerous. Kartika, try that word again. Dangerous. Yes, Sarvanan got it. Geeta, beautiful. Dangerous. That's right. Day. You see the sound there? Yes, Narayanan. Beautiful. All right, moving on to the third word. Amazing. Amazing. So it's beautiful when you say the words together. When you say amazing May. So you just have to practice the words together so that they match the sounds. Beautiful. Safe. Safe. I'm moving on to the fourth one. Safe. Absolutely, Raman. Beautiful. Safe. Safe. Next one. Hard. Hard. Yes. Hard. For the fifth one. Hard. Yes, of course, Kaushalya. Now, this activity is simply how you can synchronize the words by the sounds on the words on the right. Though they are very different in spelling and they don't rhyme with each other, but they sound similar. So you can work on sounds, which is the same sound. So all you have to do is say the words together. So we are on the fifth word, hard, where all of you have got it right. The word is R. Yes, where we don't put a lot of stress on the d sound and we try to work on how they sound similar. Yes, hard, R. That's where it will synchronize. Beautiful. Difficult, difficult. I hope you got it there, Kaushalya. Difficult. Yes, Divya, you're right. If, difficult. So if you say them together, I think you'll find it makes sense. If, difficult. That's right, Barbara. Beautiful. Welcome, Kaushalya. Right, let's move on to scary. 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 That's right, it syncs with air. Scary. Scary air. So if you see the words together, you'll see how it sounds so similar. And the last one, exciting. 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 Absolutely. Sight is the right word. Lovely. Beautiful. Right. I think that's quite interesting that we were able to find the similar sounds with the words on the left, with the words on the right, which also triggers a lot of sounds inside the classroom. Yes, Kaushalya, you're right. Did you like this activity? Tell me how you can incorporate this activity inside your classroom. Do you think this would be a nice activity to trigger inside the classroom? Yes, beautiful, Renuka. So, how do you think it would help them? How do you think it would help them? Yeah, for pronunciations, beautiful. Absolutely. I think that is what we are looking out for. Pronunciation is something that we can work out with them. And also finding sounds that are similar to each other. That is something that is beautiful. And this is a very easy way because they get so familiar with the words and then you are trying to synchronize with a lot of sounds. Beautiful. Yes. Lovely. All right, so I am coming to the end of the A1 level of activities. A little of a capsule. There's lots more that we can definitely incorporate on. But before I move on to the next level, tell me, how did you find these activities for A2 level? Yes, that's a beautiful idea, Renuka. How did you find these activities for the A2 level? We can give words like compartment, newspaper. Yes, absolutely. We can give words that are all slightly with more than one or two syllables so that they know how to break the syllables. Yes, beautiful. Do you think this would be a nice activity to do in the classroom? So I really hope you enjoyed the A2 level of activities. We focus more on productive skills. Of course, there are lots more that we can work on. But of course, always keeping the time element in mind. We're trying to give you as max as we can. Yes, beautiful, Akila. That's nice that you are able to incorporate like this. Yes, absolutely, Renuka. Exactly. It's definitely intriguing for them to promote to the next level, which is what I'm going to do with you as well. I am going to promote you to the next level in our next activities that is going to come up. So I am going to work on the B1 level next in a few minutes from now. Yes, vocabulary enrichment, creativity triggered, accurate pronunciation. Yes, all that really matters. And you can kind of, do grammar, do a lot of sentence structure in a very fun manner. I hope you all agree with me on that. Right. So, moving on to what Renuka said, we are going to get promoted to the next level. So, all you students, beautiful. Congratulations for completing the A2 level. So, you're moving on to the B1 level. So, shall we quickly work on a few B1 level activities? Shall we do that? Yes, absolutely agreed. Okay, so moving on to the B1 level. Well, when we talk about B1 level, I'm sure we are just talking about a little more on the level part. Yes, thank you, guys. Thank you. So we're just talking about the leveling up on various aspects. It could be on the grammar, the structure, the vocabulary, and various ways of accepting that and understanding that. Beautiful. So we are going to move on to the B1 level of understanding. So let me quickly share with you an activity if you are ready. Just give me a minute. Now, before we get into the activity, I would like to do a small discussion with you all. Now, the topic that we are going to get into today in the B1 level is going to be about discussing new stories. So, we're going to talk about news, we're going to discuss about news stories. These are very interesting topics because definitely the target language is about vocabulary and looking into more of stories, types of news stories, identifying news stories. This is what the agenda is going to be. But before I get into the activity, I would like to again put you all into the students of the classroom. So put on your student hat again and let's start a small warm up session where I just want to hear a general discussion from all of you on newspapers and news websites. Now, let me ask you, are you all interested in reading newspapers? If so, which newspaper is your favorite? Are you all interested in reading newspapers? If so, which is your favorite? Okay. So, if you're not into newspapers, Renuka, would you be interested in news websites? Okay, The Hindu, lovely. So, news websites, Renuka, would that be interesting to you? If so, what are your favorite websites? Lovely. What websites do you visit? Okay. So I'm talking about news, Renuka. Where do you get your news from? Okay. Of course, these are lovely answers that we can expect for sure. The Hindu charts. Okay. Tops the chart, I guess. Lovely, lovely. So I think that's beautiful that we do have a lot of readers here and we do have the favorite newspapers here. Of course, there are a lot of people who love to get into websites, look into popular newspaper websites and do some reading on screen. That makes it very interesting as well. Let's quickly try to do an activity here. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share the screen again with you. Just give me a moment. All right, let's quickly do an activity here. Now on the screen, we do find on the left a few categories of types of news, and on the right we do find the descriptions. All right. So all I want you to do is quickly match the type of the news story with their descriptions. So I'll give you a few seconds to read this. Okay. Renuka says one is D. Beautiful. That's right, Renuka. One D. Okay. Two business. Okay. So I have all the answers there. Suganti, thank you for doing that. Let me try to give you the screen. Oh, I'm so sorry. I think it should be a little. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is it okay now? Are you able to hear, see the whole thing? I'm so sorry to have showed you only half initially. Okay. Is it better now? Okay, that is why we didn't have two as the answers. Got it. Sorry about that. Yeah. One was D, that's right. Two, G, yes, beautiful. Yes, Pradeep and Sarunan, beautiful. 2G is the right answer. 3, B, Lakshmi Priya, beautiful. That's about crime. Yes. 4, we're talking about reviews. 4 would be 4E. Yeah, thank you, Akila, for summing it all up there. Beautiful. 4E, 5C, 6A, and 7F. Beautiful. Lovely. Now, this is one beautiful activity where we can get the candidates familiar with types of news. Also, the fact that they get familiar to the types of news that are available in a newspaper. So we can always try to ask them what their favorite ones are in the newspaper, and then try to give them an idea of different types of news that do appear on newspapers. Beautiful, lovely. Tell me, is this an activity that would be quite interesting in a group or a pair? Can we do this group activity as a group or as a pair? Yes, absolutely, Ashwini. It works both ways, I think, again, Ashwini, as a group, as maybe as a small group, group of four, as a pair activity where you brainstorm, you have ideas about different types of news. I think children nowadays are not very familiar with the types of news that they hear. Yeah, I think most of you agree with pair. I'll agree with you as well. A small group also would be very interesting, or like Sarunan initially said, you can always start as a pair and then you can exchange this worksheet with the other pairs or the other groups and check for the right answer, and then have an overall discussion about this and clarify doubts if needed. Yes, absolutely, Renuka. But then, if you just noticed the level a notch more than what we saw a few minutes before, where we start talking about vocabulary and we talk about other worldly current affairs, where also a little more exposure is required as we climb up the ladder. Beautiful. So you just have to ensure that you have given enough time for them to do this activity. Do you think this activity can be conducted in the classroom? Yes, I think yes, we can try to do this in a classroom, because in a classroom, when you have a lot of groups, when especially when you have a particular topic, yes, thank you, Ashwini. It's very interesting because absolutely, Renika, it's you have a topic and you connect it with the topic at the same time you're delivering a lot of information inside this, and this is a lot of knowledge for sure. Yes, Priyadarshini. That's exactly the skills that we are triggering through this beautiful activity. And look at the vocabulary that's involved. Now, that's what I'm going to get into next as well. A lot of vocabulary dealing contextually, at the same time, a lot of special words which children these days don't even bother to look into. So it's fun that we work on these kind of activities. Beautiful. Right. I'm moving on to the next activity. Now, this is a very interesting activity which you can try to incorporate inside your classroom. Let me quickly explain to you what this kind of activity is, and let me know if you agree with me. Now, all you have to do is get a few newspaper cuttings before you come to the classroom. Maybe you get 4 or 5 newspaper cuttings from different paragraphs, and all you have to do is hand it over to a group, or a group of 4 or 5. And then all they have to do is keep the clipping in their hand and supply them with such an input sheet. Now, all these materials have been provided to you for sure by Cambridge initially. So you can run through your workbook as well. You'll have an idea what we are speaking about. Take the newspaper cuttings, try to relate to the clipping, put them in a serial number, and then tell what kind of a news it was. Was it sport? Was it political, like the ones that we did initially? And then try to substantiate them from the keywords from the text. Now, this kind of a tabular form is something you'll have to provide earlier, and then you'll have to give them a few example clippings, 4 or 5 maximum, put them all in a group, let them brainstorm, and put them quickly into a nice tabulation. And whoever tries to do this first can always, be rewarded at the end and make it a very interactive and interesting session in the classroom. Any clarification on this activity? I think it's a very fun activity. Any doubts, please ask me. I would like to explain it to you for sure. But you will have to have this tabulation earlier with you so that you can modify this tabulation as to the way you want to have your topic. It can be inculcated in any activity of your choice. And then, yeah, thank you, Renuka. But it's a very interesting one. You can also complete the tabular and then exchange it inside groups and make it very interesting. Yes, Akila, there's a lot of transformation of information here for sure. Okay, so that was another activity that I really enjoyed sharing it with you because it's something that would really make the class a little interesting as well. All right. Now, talking about these words, now when we spoke about these particular words, now it just hit me that we could work on one more very interesting activity. Now, I'm focusing on the 7 words that are on the left. Now, to get the children familiar to these words, especially you can work on the whole class activity by working on a few words. Now, let me explain to you how we can do this. Now let's take the first word in account. Now, for example, we say the word political in account. Now, when I'm talking about the word stress here, we can actually indicate them how we can pronounce this word and also the importance of syllables in a particular word. Now, this is one beautiful demo that we can always do in the class. I would always recommend to clap or maybe click for each syllable in a word. Now, for example, if there is a word called desk, 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 and then there's only one syllable in the word, so the sound of the syllable, so we go like desk, right? So one click for one syllable. Now I'll say that again, desk. You can try another word, book, or maybe you can even ask the children to clap so that there's only the recognition of one syllable in a word. Now, similarly, you can ask them to work on the words that are on the left. Now, for example, political. Yeah, political. So all they have to do is break the word by the syllable and do the click game. You can do this as a pronunciation drill or a whole class drill where all of us say that together, like political. So you have 4 syllables and 4 clicks. Now everybody does that together. It's really interesting. You can try that kind of drill where you also do the word stress. Will you agree with me on this particular word stress as well? I wish we could have the audio on. We could all hear each other doing the syllables. That would be really fun, I'm sure. But then, did you find this activity interesting where you can do the word stress, especially with words that the candidates are not too familiar with, but still you can make it so easy for them to understand by working on the syllables? You can try the next word, for example, business. So all you have to do is do the click, understand the syllable break, for example, business. So you see the word, it works. Yes, Priyadarshini, thank you. So it really works when you break the word, especially big words, no? Like how initially you had mentioned. So if you're going to work on big words, then you have more than 2 or 3 syllables. You can also identify the silent letter in the word and then break them into syllables. And this is another fun way of working on word stress. And at the same time, you can actually get the words familiar to them. Any doubts on this particular activity? So, quick understanding on the concept of word stress. If a word has more than one syllable, will the word be pronounced the same way? if the word has more than one syllable. Will the word be, yeah, lovely Malati, yes. Will the word be pronounced the same way if the word has more than one syllable? Yes, of course not. Definitely not. It definitely gives a change in the word. Like, for example, we say pen, still. So you hear two clicks, you know the syllable is broken in two, and you have two different sounds coming out. So it makes it very easy for the candidates to understand. Now, this clap or click is something that you can decide. Make the class as interesting as possible, but at the same time, break the word according to the sounds. Beautiful. There are a few areas, in fact, words like editorial. Now, if you take words like editorial, there is one particular sound that is a little more than the other. So we go like editorial. So you see how there are a few areas that have different sounds as well. Crime and criminal are having two different pronunciation. Absolutely, Renuka. So don't you think the word stress actually helps them out in this, where you can word stress at the same time they come from the same family, but definitely the etymology is the same, but then the pronunciation is different. So you can do a beautiful mind map on the word and then try to find a lot of word forms for just one word. That's another beautiful activity you can work on. That also triggers a lot of productive skills. I'm sure you'll agree with me. So, did you enjoy this particular word stress activity? Yeah, thank you, Renuka. Thank you. All right. So, with that, I am going to come to the end of the B1 productive skills. I'd love to share a lot with you more for sure, because there's lots that we can work on, especially when it is with candidates and it's learning. I think there's no end to that. But before I let you go, I am open to any of the Q&A from your end on how to work on these activities. So go ahead, put up your queries on the chat box if you do have any. We have Sam with us, so go ahead. If you do have any queries now regarding the activities or anything regarding this entire program, please do feel free to ask us now. Sam, you're not audible to us. Absolutely, Renuka, no doubt. Yes, when it comes to practicality, definitely you'll have a lot of queries, but it's up to us. I think we're all amazing in the classrooms, and I'm sure you're all so experienced, and you always keep your classrooms really interactive and fun. So these were just few areas where you can make it even more fun and interactive for sure. Anything else that you want us to help you with regards to the activity or anything else? No, Sam, we cannot hear you. Can you try now, Sam? The audio doesn't work. Sam. Oh, thank you so much, Akila. I must say that you made it very interactive for me as well. So I thoroughly enjoyed working with you, because I know, given all these circumstances, we are trying to share as much as we can inside the classroom. So you all became beautiful students, and then immediately your roles changed, and you thought of how it would be in the classroom. So I got a lot of interesting aspects from your side as well. So thank you so much for sharing that as well, Akila. Beautiful. You've been lovely participants for sure. Anything else you'd like to know about the program? Thank you so much, Renuka. Thank you. So what I'm going to do is, before Sam gets back to us, I'm just going to share a link in the chat box, because I'd love to hear it from you. So all I want to hear from you is the feedback to this entire session. So I'm just going to put it up in the chat box while you guys are doing it simultaneously. We'll just wait for Sam to get to us. So all you have to do is just click on the link and go ahead and do the feedback for us. Thank you, Nisha. Thank you, Sarun. And please do enjoy the session inside your classrooms by incorporating what we just went through. I think that makes the class more interesting. And I'm sure kids always have lots to share for us, and it's always a learning for us. Go ahead, put in your feedback. I hope you're able to open the link. And anybody please confirm if you can get into the link and give us your feedback. Thank you, Shajila. Thank you so much, Malati. You've been very interactive as well. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Please do give us your feedback. I'm just posting the link in again. Can anybody please confirm if you were able to get into the link and just do the feedback for us? Oh, beautiful. Thank you, Sarunan. Thank you so much for saying that as well. Renuka, have you received the link? Please go ahead and do the feedback. But before I let you all go, let's have a quick discussion on today's session while you're doing it simultaneously. What did you enjoy from today's session? Just from your side, I'd love to hear it from you. What did you enjoy? What is the takeaway that you had in today's session? Please do share with us your feedback and what was your takeaway from the entire session. I'd love to hear it from you. I really wish I could hear your voices. It would be so nice.
Shripi, I hope you're able to hear me.
Absolutely, Sam. I'm happy to hear
Great.
you.
Okay. I hope now it's better.
It is better, Sam.
Okay. Well, there were a few who sent in requests to speak. Very sorry about it. Looks like there is some technical glitch in the webinar platform. Hopefully, in our session 2, we should be able to resolve it. Our apologies about that, which is not in our control, but we did try our best. In fact, I surprisingly had an issue, so I'm just logging in through my colleague's portal. So it would be great to know how did you find the program. It's good to see those messages coming up saying it's good you've enjoyed the session. Hope we are able to add value. So just to give you a background, the reason why we've decided to do this is while we reached out to institutions last week, there were a handful of institutions who just started with the course and they needed guidance to say how do we use an A2 course material or a B1 course material. While most of you are aware about how to go about the Cambridge style of teaching, most of you are almost 80% ahead of the program, almost on the verge of completion. But please keep in mind there are institutions who have just started a week back. And these sessions are a refresher for you as well as to help institutions who are literally struggling. So this is a massive program done by the government for the entire Tamil Nadu state. So we have to keep every individual institution in mind. Is there anybody who's a part of this workshop who has still not started the diagnostic test, or you have any specific challenges which you want me to address? I'm not going to run you through the PPT because I'm sure that most of you have started with your session. So first question, it would be good to know which course are you teaching and at which unit are you? Are you at unit 1, unit 4, unit 5? So if you can use the chat window and just share that, it'll be good to get some idea. It would be great to know at which course are you teaching and at which stage are you, like are you at unit 5 or unit 10, or are you almost at unit 13, 2 more units to go? So I'm making a note of this, ma'am. Please, while you say our college, also just mention your college name or just mention your college code, so I can get somebody to speak to you. While we understand that majority of the students have done the diagnostic test, there are few students who are facing issue, but I will. We are already working with it. There are an handful of institutions where we are not able to find a solution. Even today morning, I've had a call. So I will give an heads up to those institutions. So if you're a part of this teaching session, our sincere apologies. Both the tech teams are trying to do it. So give us some time and we'll definitely come back to you. While we understand that there are just 3 more weeks left for the program to complete, we will definitely come with a solution, hopefully in the coming week. Okay, so we will come back to 8120. So I'll have my colleague speak to you while there is a solution. So I'll just come back to you. I'm aware about the issues that a particular student is facing. So we've had a call. Hopefully today it would be resolved. So my colleague will update you on that, ma'am. Great to see that some have just started with unit 1. So our only request is, as I said, we just have 3 weeks left, and I think March 7th is your deadline for your semester. So I would recommend if you can plan your sessions accordingly, because there are 15 units to complete. So parallelly also ask students to practice their online test. So that is the online course. So that's a request I'm putting forward. While you teach in the classroom, please ensure students go through the online course. So if you're teaching an A2 course in the classroom, kindly ensure students parallelly progress with the self-access learning for A2 and B1. And one more important information: if you're done with the diagnostic test and say you've almost completed 50 to 70% of your portion, like you're at fifth or seventh unit, then I would recommend you also do the midterm test or the mid progression test, which is embedded into your A2 and B1 course. So kindly pass this message on to students. If you're almost completed 50 or 70% of your portion, we recommend that you do the midterm progression test. It is there as a part of A2 and B1 course. Okay, so kindly pass this message to students, and you could encourage them to do the self-access learning and then take up the mid progression test. Okay, so Balaji, just to answer your question, there are two courses given. So while you teach, practically for a teacher, it is any one course. So you decide whether you teach an A2 or a B1 based on the performance of the student. And for a student, we are given them access to two courses, that's A2 and B1. So we would recommend students complete the course that is taught in the classroom. So if you're teaching an A2 course, I would recommend students do the A2 course in the class, A2 self-access course. And if he has completed that, then he can move on to a B1 course. So for students, we have given them access to both the courses, but mandate he has to complete either of the course, either A2 or B1. I hope I have answered your question, Balaji. If it is still not clear, do send me a message and I can clarify it. Akila, so as I said, the journey of a student is it starts with a diagnostic test. So the first step is to do the diagnostic test. Once you're done with the diagnostic test, you move on to the learning. So the learning has two parts to it. One is, say, a facilitator led, where you will be doing the speaking in classroom using the course content provided by Cambridge. And parallelly, students will go through a self-access learning of A2 and B1. So the mandate is he has to complete the course taught in the classroom. So if you're teaching an A2 course, he will have to do an A2 course self-access learning. Once he's done with it and he has time, then he can also do the B1 course. Apart from an A2 and B1, we have also given certain additional practice for students. So that is to support students, or say students who dedicated more than an hour every day. So for them, we have built in the additional practice for A2 and B1. Okay, and the final, once he is done with the A2 course, there's a mid progression test built in. So we would recommend that students take the mid progression test, and the final assessment will be last week of Feb or first week of March. I will come back to you. So also, just to clarify, Cambridge allocates 30 marks. This is based on the discussion that we had with the officials in Anna University. 70 mark is given by Anna University, 30 mark is given by Cambridge based on the final assessment. So how would we allocate this mark, the schedule on when we would conduct it, those instructions you could expect it in the coming week. Okay, so as I said, it's not 70 that we provide. Far as I'm aware, based on my last conversation, it is 30 marks based on the final assessment that Cambridge will provide. So for the final assessment, we will be sharing information with you on how could the mark allocation happen. I will also take up a valid point that was raised by a faculty asking how do we go about the internal assessments. As I said, we are not the right person, or we are not in a position to talk about the internal assessment, because based on the final assessment, we allocate 30 marks. So I would update you on the final assessment bit on how, what is the duration for the final assessment, when are we planning to do the final assessment, and the marks allocated, how does it get accounted for the college. So that clarity I will definitely provide in the coming week. I'll also take up the question of internal mark. I'll discuss, and I will ask, once I get information, I will try sharing that in the groups created. Kauslia, I hope you're clear about what I've said. In case if you're not able to hear me, or you want me to repeat it, please let me know. Happy to do that. I hope all of you are clear with how to use the course material. I hope majority of the students in your college have done the diagnostic test, except for a handful of institutions who have tech problems where we still not started completely. I can understand that. As I said, we are trying our best to resolve it. It's not in our control. We are working with the NM Tech team. Once we find a solution, I will definitely keep you posted. Most of you have been in touch with myself or my team. So just give us some time. We will, for those handful of institutions, we will try resolving your problem. But as I said, if you've done with the diagnostic test, kindly encourage students to do the self-access course and parallelly go ahead with your teaching. If you just started with the first unit or you just started the course, there are just 3 weeks left. So we would request if you could plan on your lessons for the remaining 3 weeks, and also encourage students to take the mid progression test. So as I said, after the diagnostic test, the mid progression test is very important. So kindly share this with other colleagues as well. Ask them to encourage students taking the mid progression test, and then the final assessment comes into place, for which I will share details with you. So you will get clear details on how to go about marking, how to conduct the final test. So all that information will be shared in the coming week. So kindly bear with us for one more week. By say next Friday, you should have details about all of it. If there are no other questions, we can call it a day. I hope you've enjoyed this session. As I said, we are there on the group, so kindly send a message to any one of us, and we are definitely working on all your enquiries. We will definitely come back to you. Okay, so Kausalya, I'll just repeat it. If you're done with the diagnostic test, the next phase is learning. Okay, so once students do the diagnostic test, you move on to learning. Learning is a two-phased approach where you will be doing speaking in the classroom. There is course content given to you for A2, B1. You decide on the student's diagnostic performance. How do you go about choosing the course A2, B1? So just to give you an idea, if students have 55 percentage and below, then you do an A2 course. If they're between 56 to 84, you do a B1 course in your classroom. So based on the student's diagnostic performance, you decide which course to be taught in the classroom. Is it A2 or B1? Parallelly, there is self-access learning given to students. We have given them access to both. Whether you teach an A2 course in classroom or a B1 course in classroom, we have given them access to both the courses, A2 and B1. So I would recommend, if you're teaching an A2 course in the classroom, you ask students to do the self-access learning of A2, and parallelly, once they complete, they could go on to B1. So when they do an A2 course, there is a mid progression test built into the program. So I would recommend that students take the mid progression test. Okay, once they are done with that and you have done all 15 units, mostly last week of Feb or first week of March, tentatively we'll be having the final assessment, which is 30 marks allocated. So those details I will reconfirm with the university, and I will share an official communication. So as I said, you need to give me a week's time. By next week, you will have clear details on the final assessment and what is the marks allocated from the university. But as of now, the priority is, if you're done with the diagnostic test, we ask you to do the learning, which is either A2 or B1, those 15 units, and encourage students to do the self-access learning and complete the mid-progression test. So these 2 points are very important. After the diagnostic, you have to teach A2 or B1, and students need to do the self-access learning and complete the mid-progression test. Just allow me a minute. There are a lot of questions coming up. Let me pick them up. Bharti ma'am, if you can just send me the college code so I can get that sent to you. If you have attended this session, the 2 o'clock session is not required. So this session should suffice. It's the same demo or the same process flow that we will be following in the next session. So if you have attended this session, not required to attend the afternoon session. Okay, so Ramnan, I'll come back to your question. As I said, the test focuses on LSRW skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing, which grammar is also inbuilt into the test. I would share the link with you so you can take a sample test of the final assessment and also help students practice. So as I said, if you can just share your college code with me, so that would help me come back to you, because as I said, either share your college name or college code so I can ask one of my colleague to speak to you and answer your queries if there is anything in specific. I've just made a note of two colleges. Okay, I've also got the other college code. So I will share a process flow. The reason I didn't want to run you through a PPT is because majority of you have already clear about the process. For the ones who are not clear, we will get that sent.